What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Maverick Raven coming at you with another video. And I gotta tell you guys, I heard about this 4B movement bullshit. I heard about it the day before yesterday, and I guess to say that I have some thoughts would be, yeah, let's just say I have some thoughts. Let's not start the video off quite like that. We gotta get up to 100 miles an hour. But the situation in the United States has kind of been crazy if you're on social media, if you talk about the United States. It's kind of been crazy with the like insane takes. And I don't even mean that only on the left. Like the right is saying, you know, the right is basically back at it with the 2020 election denial stuff, and I don't know. It's a very interesting question as to how 15 to 20 million votes, we have 15 to 20 million ish less votes in 2024 than we did in 2020. But obviously, I mean, that was under COVID and everybody was doing the mail in thing. So I don't know. It sounds like a perfectly logical explanation, right? But something about it still bothers me. I don't think I'm ready to wholeheartedly trust the government, and I don't know if I ever will be because I'm not really that type of guy. But it would be nice to not think that the government is constantly out to screw you, which it is. It absolutely is out to screw you. So we're gonna take a look at this. But before we do, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. All of that stuff is great for the videos and for the channel. Really helps me out. Really gives me a nice little attaboy, dopamine hit that really rallies me and helps me to continue going. So yeah, besides, we'd love to have you be the newest member of the flock. The flock is for life. And you know what it is, guys. You can hang out with me and we'd love to have you. The air is for everyone. Now, I've been a little long-winded lately, and it's mostly because I get on these freaking rants because things are just not okay right now. Things are kind of crazy. But I'm gonna read through this article. It's so stupid. It's so stupid what we do as Western people. I mean, we will literally adopt practices from other cultures solely because it's not Western, and we're like, well, they got their stuff together, let's practice that. For example, acupuncture. I've tried a lot of acupuncture. It's never worked out for me. It works out for a lot of people, never worked out for me. So some I'm not like super ready to accept all Eastern concepts, even though, believe it or not, for a long time, Eastern philosophy was a big part of my life because I was in the martial arts dojo for freaking 15 and a half years, and I started at 4, and eventually you become a teacher, and that becomes your life, and just like any type of sport, when you like something and you're good at it, you want to be better at it, and it just consumes you. And with that, comes some perspective from the eastern side of the globe. Obviously it's not like living there or being a member of that community. I'm just saying it's different. It's different, especially when you compete and you're constantly surrounded by people from all over the world, including Asia. It is different. Anyways, so let's get this off because this is so stupid. South Korea's 4B movement. What is it, and could it take off in the West? The 4B movement has provided a refuge for South Korean women. Now, this article, I read through it obviously to try to understand it, to try to see if I can decide in my own head whether this is the win that I think it is for me and the conservative movement, and honestly, men and women in the United States in general. It just seems like a massive win-win. But we're gonna get into that right now. It says a movement that involves women opting out of dating, sex, having babies, and marriage with men is growing in popularity as South Korea's birth rate hits a record low. Yeah, it's pretty bad over there. I found it out, and I didn't know that. I didn't know it was that bad. I mean, I knew that Japan was kind of lowering their standards for visas and to stay there permanently if you were gonna have kids, and you know what I mean, like that brought value to your status if you were gonna have kids with a Japanese woman or whatever. It's just crazy stuff, man. But the birth rates, even the United States, the birth rates suck, dude, and it's a multi-layered problem that is hard to fix because you don't even know where to start. You don't know which aspect of the problem is best. But here's the thing, right? It's kind of like when you're cleaning your garage or cleaning your room or whatever it is, right? And you start it and you go, man, I can't believe I let it get this messy. And then you feel overwhelmed because you've let it go. And now there's a ton of shit to do. Whereas if you just would have been maintaining it, not being a procrastinator, being on point, not being a slob, or not being lazy with that one night that you were too tired or whatever. You know what I mean? As long as you maintain it, you'll be good, dude, But it's hard. And I say that as a person who I tend to procrastinate, so I have to be thinking, okay, don't do that, don't put that off. I also have to be the type of person that goes, all right, you can't quit this just because it's a day off, or just because it's you're not feeling well, or you're not happy, or you are happy. Because honestly, you will find a reason to always either celebrate or mourn, kind of grieve or whatever. You can always find something, some excuse, so that you don't do what you do. Oh well, I worked really hard yesterday, so I don't have to work today. The problem is that that's not the way things work. If you want success, if you want your room or your house to be clean, you have to work at it constantly. If you want your body to be in good shape, you have to work at it constantly. And I don't know when this kind of became like a right-wing talking point. Not that I'm like the beacon of health or anything. Obviously, I am a big guy. But, I wasn't always this way. And trust me, I know what it's like to feel yourself slipping out of control, man. And that has happened to me. But on the bright side, when something like that happens to you, you get to know yourself better, and it forces you to think about what you really want, about who you really, really are. And that kind of hesitation, I guess, is the best word to describe it. That kind of hesitation is healthy. It's something you shouldn't always be the type. You shouldn't be the type of person that always says yes to everything for a large variety of reasons. But you're gonna see this 4B movement is just, I don't know. I don't know how I feel, man. Like it kind of seems like it's necessary in South Korea right now. They make a good argument. This article is from an obviously left wing news website. It's partisan. I don't even think it tries to hide it. Maybe it does. I don't know. But I got this article because it's one of the first ones I saw about the issue. It says, what is the 1B movement? The movement reportedly began in South Korea in 2019. The core beliefs are 4 no rules: no sex, no childbirth, no dating, and no marriage with men. In Korean, the four words begin with B or Bai. Is it Bihong or Baihan? I don't know, guys. Obviously, I'm not going to know how to pronounce these words. Baihan by Cholson, Bayonne, and by Sexu. Yeah, I find Korean like super tough. Japanese is got a lot of syllables, but they're short. Or tend to be shorter, so it's a little bit more. I'm a little bit more familiar with that, but not Korean. Korean always tricks me up. So many K's. It sprung from a number of previous online feminist movements. Of course. I forgot I read that. And I did read this. I did something that I normally don't do, which is read an article ahead of time before presenting it to you guys. I actually read this article ahead of time because I knew this was going to be like a huge video. And I was trying to just be, as fast as possible. But damn, dude, of course it was the feminism movement. Because here's the thing, and this is not whatever. If you think I'm sexist, I'm not. I don't try to be sexist. Maybe in some ways I'm sexist, but I've really thought this over. And I don't think there's any way that I'm sexist just by saying this. The first and even second wave of feminism was just, it was necessary, and it was for a good cause. It really was. But the problem is that if I'm not mistaken, you're now stuck in fourth wave feminism, and these ladies don't have a dragon to slay. You really don't. You can try to yell about abortion, but the abortion issue is not even that clear cut with women. And you would think that all the my body, my choice, and I'm not the handmaid's tale, and you shouldn't have a right to tell me what I do with my body, and this, you would think all of that would make it so that it's like 99% supported by women that you have to have abortions. But the thing is that in that category, when you separate the females from the males, in the category of women, you also have women, just like you have men, that, guess what? They're based, and they're independent thinkers, and they think for themselves as independent thinkers, and they question things, and they don't just take it as, why is it this way? Because I said so. Or why is it that way? Because that's what the left thinks, and if you don't say what the left thinks and feels and locksteps in every way, you will be cast out, you will be ejected from the entire movement. Is that what you want? And some women go, no. Exactly like some men. No, please. At the end of the day, guys, leftists cannibalize themselves. Because logically, almost every issue contradicts one another and makes no sense in the logical long run. Meaning, if you just follow it to its logical conclusion, it doesn't work. Because at the end, it's not achievable or maintainable or both. Like that type of. It's just. And this 4B movement, I'll tell you right now, I find it really interesting that they keep saying stuff like, marriage with men. So you can marry a woman and you guys can scissor all night long, and that'd be great. No problem with the 4B movement. Got it. Because apparently the only people that have problems on this earth are men. What a unique and refreshing take from the feminist movement. Because as we know, feminists are known for their ability to just reason with you calmly and not scream at you in very loud, shrill voices. And they just really get their ideas across effectively. And of course, I'm being sarcastic as hell, because if you've ever gotten into any type of conversation with a feminist and you happen to tell them that you're against any of their positions, they will probably max out on you in their equivalent way, whether it's freaking screaming at you or insulting you or hitting you. Look at that woman the other day in the coffee shop that overheard a black woman talking to her friend about how she voted for Donald Trump and that she can't vote for Kamala. And this white woman got away from her table, out of her table, out of her conversation with her own friend, and started getting on this black woman about how you could do that and this and that, and you're a woman and this and that, blah blah. And then her own friend, the white, and of course she's white, the Karen, right? That as everybody calls them. And by the way, ladies, if I know that typically I don't have that many lady viewers, this might get into a realm where it's going to be kind of hard to hit, to, you know, it's going to be hard hitting in a way that, look, I'm not a misogynist, I'm not a sexist, but some of these issues make no sense. And it's just kind of funny why it's almost always a white woman that comes to the defense of black people, whether they're men or women, and it's like, comes to the defense of Hispanics, and it's like, we can all take care of ourselves. And even if we couldn't, teach a man to fish, and you feed him for a lifetime. Don't give him a fish. You'll just feed him for a day. Teach him. But that's not what's going on here. So it sprung from a number of previous online feminist movements, including the Escape the Corset movement, that called for women to liberate themselves from sexual, social, bodily, and psychological oppression, and South Korea's Me Too movement. I never heard of this Escape the Corset movement. I'm sure that it's a thing. You know, just as much as I'm sure that this 4B stuff is a thing. Only reason I heard about this 4B stuff was because these women, and yes, they were all white, and this is what I'm talking about here. It's going to look like I'm, you know, slamming white women, whereas I'm not trying to. I'm really not trying to. It's just that, for starters, the liberal mindset has become a disease. Or maybe it's always been a disease. I don't know, but it is a disease. It is. It doesn't bring anything to the table except misery, envy. You know, look, it gives you the ability to be completely fine in your skin and not accomplish a damn thing. And let me tell you something. You need to be fine in your own skin, but it's not supposed to be a complete and total acceptance of everything you are in every way. Because let me explain something to you. There are aspects of every person that are negative, and there are aspects of every person that are good. If a woman weighs 300 pounds and she's 5'5" or whatever, you want that woman to lose weight because she literally is unhealthy. Okay? Same thing with a guy. It's just that I don't see like men being male models at 300 pounds. I see some women being male models at 300 pounds. I mean, female models. I see some women being models at 300 pounds. And we're told to just shut up, appreciate them. They are beautiful. Stop being a bigot. Fat is beautiful, or whatever the hell. And it's just like, dude, no, it isn't. And it's super unhealthy. There's nothing attractive about a 300-pound man or a 300-pound woman. And I say that obviously being a guy who's bigger. Benefit I have is that I'm married. My wife's stuck with me. You know? We're in a traditional marriage. We love and respect each other. We've had ups. We've had lows. And we're here for each other. Leaving is not an option. And I don't say that because I'm a prisoner or she's a prisoner or whatever. It's just that before we got married, we both had a series of conversations in which we both understood that we needed to be honest with each other right from the get. We need to be honest with each other during the marriage process, and we need to be honest with each other for the rest of our lives. And it works because nothing is more beautiful than having a partner there for you who's going to have your back. But this movement and the Escape the Corset movement, it just sounds like a bunch of hate, just hatred, dude. Just plain hatred. And that's the way that feminists tend to come off almost all the time. It's just nothing but negativity. You guys don't have a dragon to slay. Abortion is not the issue you guys think it is. As with the other South Korean digital feminist movements, one noteworthy aspect of the 4B movement is that its members frequently refer to themselves as anonymous women, said London's The Standard. In this sense, it operates as an online forum for women to freely discuss how to navigate and imagine life without men, and creates a sense of solidarity among women by giving them a platform to express their annoyances and worries about living in a traditional environment. Guys, believe it or not, I actually am extremely open-minded. Perhaps even too open-minded. And I'll explain what I mean. I am constantly, I don't want to say doubting myself or my positions, but I am constantly verifying my positions and making sure that my positions are what I really feel because of logic or my faith in God. And, obviously I'm a Catholic, and how strongly do I believe in this precept, and how strongly do I believe in the Pope, as an example, things like that. And I have strived to have a completely consistent, both logically, spiritually, with my principles being intact, a congruent thought process throughout every issue. A lot of people go, well, how can you be against abortions when you don't care about immigrants? It's not that I don't care about immigrants, dude. It's that I want immigrants to come through the natural channels, through the things that the government has placed just for that. And I'll even tell you another thing. The government sucks at what it's done with the immigration process. But you can't just skip the line. You can't just, hire a coyote and come across and act crazy. No, you just can't do that. You can't just open the border. That doesn't mean I don't care about people. It's just that there's a logical consistency there that liberals or leftists sometimes, well, leftists definitely don't get it, but liberals, if they're classical liberals, if they're actually liberals, because like I always say, there's a huge difference between a liberal and a leftist. Although the modern day leftist literally calls the classical liberal right-wing extremism. Don't believe me? Look at David Rubin. He's probably by now, a little bit more, based, a little bit more red-pilled. But he started as a classical liberal. Tim Pool, classical. The guy used to be a commie. But as you get older, what's that saying they say? If you're not a Democrat or something by age 30, you have no heart. If you're not a Republican by age 40, you have no brain or whatever. I'd rather have a brain. We need brains to rule societies. And I guess I'm heartless because I've always been a conservative. That's that Cuban, baby. We're based. Anyway, so I cannot recommend the trad lifestyle more. I just can't recommend it enough, because there's a reason why it has existed for so long, because it works. Men, and I know not all societies have men as the warriors, and not all societies are patriarchies, and blah blah blah, and the patriarchy is bad and all this. Listen, I am not saying that men are better than women. I'm not saying that we know more, or that we should be in a position of leadership just because we're men. when I cast my vote for Donald Trump, it was not an anti-woman president vote thing. I know a lot of women that did vote anti-woman. Some of them are nowhere near as old as you would think they are. I'm talking about what, like 30 something, 31 maybe? 30? I don't know. They're a lot younger than me. Women my age, and it all goes back to the left pushing too hard. The left vilifies everything they don't agree with. They will tar and feather you in the streets. They will do it. They will attack you if they get angry enough. That's not really the way it is over here. You know? And before we get, any further, yeah, I know about that tribe in Papua New Guinea that has the women being the warriors and all that. I know about that. I learned about that, and I was like, that's kind of weird that's you have to go to such a remote, place that's like so secluded and all that to find a society that works like that. But whatever. Papua New Guinea is like amazing and super interesting in a bunch of other ways. Anyway, so how widespread is it? It makes it sound like a disease, which it kind of is. It says the 4B community has provided a refuge for Korean women, but it is unclear how widespread or popular it is, given its fluid online, offline nature and its evolution over the years, said the cut. Dude, it said 2019. It's been 5 years? Oh boy. Okay. The movement is not organized or centralized, said Modern Diplomacy. I don't know any of these websites. For all I know, this could all be Antifa bullshit, because it's starting to sound like I'm reading from an Antifa, manifesto here. There are no leaders, no official website, and no physical headquarters. The number of members is not documented, with estimates ranging from 50,000 to as few as 5,000. 50,000 is a lot of people when you think about it, but in terms of population, I'm sure it's not that huge. If there was even 100,000 women in this country that felt like that, or 1 million even, it would still be a small movement. It's still 1 million people, but it would still be a small movement. And it's not spreading, because at the end of the day, I'm going to show you some of these videos. At the end of the day, men apparently don't give a fuck. I am a constant preacher of this. I constantly ask men to give conservative women a shot. Even if you're not conservative, even if you're a leftist, hopefully a conservative woman will bring you to the light side of the force. Show you that we're not bigots. We just do these things in a traditional way, because that tends to be the best way to work things out. And this is the way I see my role now as the male. I don't like using the word patriarch, but I guess I am the patriarch of the family. It's my job to look out for everyone here. It's my job to put myself last. It's my job to do all the physical, things that need to be done. It's my job to do all the heavy lifting, protect the home in terms of actual crime and stuff like that. If we're out on the street, it's my job to protect my family, the group of people we're hanging with. That's my job. That's a traditional mindset. People are going to say, what against it? I have no idea. And if you're going to tell me that women can defend themselves just as easily as men can, or just as effective as men can, maybe if you have a gun, but not if a man, generally speaking, obviously, a woman is not going to have a chance to pull out that gun, especially if the guy knows you have a gun or sees you reaching for it or whatever. Doesn't mean you stop reaching for it. Doesn't mean you don't reach for it. Just means that you gotta, kind of play out the situation, and just kind of play the individual that's doing anything to you, whether it's robbing you or God forbid anything else. You gotta look for your opportunity and then take it. Little story about my wife. I've said it once on this channel before, but my wife actually has. She was a police officer too. But she actually has three. I don't like to say it like this because it sounds like she's crazy, but she's got three souls on her tally. She killed three people. One of which, and this is the reason why I bring it up, was when she was 7. Her father was a police officer, most of his adult life. He served in the Coast Guard. Amazing man. He served for multiple police departments. This man he knew his stuff. Forwards, backwards, up, down, left, right. And I don't say that just because he was nice to me or because he was my wife's father, even though I consider him like a dad too. Dude was really, really good to me, and he was really, really good to his daughter, my future wife, right? Because he taught her, this is what happens if somebody breaks in and we're not here. Also, obviously, it was a different time when you could leave a 7-year-old alone in your house. So what ended up happening was that a burglar broke in. My wife, at 7, got her dad's revolver, and going by where she thought he came in by, she went to the farthest room that she could. And then she just laid on the ground and went like that with the gun. And she said, if he opens this door, I have to unload this gun on him. And that's what she used to tell me, that's what was going through her mind. She was in the moment, focused, and she was ready. And when he opened that door, I think she unloaded all 6 rounds. And I think she, as a 7-year-old, I think she got 5 out of 6 or something like that. It was, it wasn't a super long distance. And she had been, like I said, it was a different time back then. You used to be able to show your kids how to fire guns. Can't do that anymore because then you're a bad parent and people will report you. It's just easier not to, right? It's a crazy world we live in. But my point is, my wife, even at 7, was ready for not an eventuality, but she was prepared just in case something like that might happen. She had a good head on her shoulders for that situation. And anybody can do that. You just got to prepare yourself mentally. Anyways, it says, what is it saying? The lifestyle might sound extreme. How do you get, what? Who's Coffee? Said Coffee. Hold on one second. Because I don't remember. Oh, here we go. Did I skip that? Oh man, did I skip that? I must have started here, huh? Okay, apparently it's Helen Coffey, and she's trying to explain in the Independent about this 4B movement, and that's who Coffey is. Okay. I was confused. Sorry guys, it's early. I have so many things to do today. Oof. Okay, so it said the lifestyle might sound extreme, said Coffey, but the country's incidence of intimate partner violence was found to be 41.5% in a 2016 survey compared to a global average of 30%. So really? You mean to tell me that the global average for what we would call DV, domestic violence, is 30%? Really? Dude, when I was a police officer, it wasn't 30%. I mean, think about that. 30% of marriages are going to end up with, or 30% of serious relationships, or whatever the hell you want to call them, they're going to end up with a woman getting hit or whatever. That's awful, dude. That's really bad. So it perhaps feels more of a proportionate response than at first glance. South Korea's gender pay gap is the largest in the developed world, women earn 31% less than men, almost triple the average of 11.6 across comparable countries. I'm not going to get into that. At least here in the United States, that whole gender wage gap, that's bullshit. It's been debunked. All you got to do is just have enough sources and look into it with an open enough mind, and you'll see that it's all bunk. It's all bunk. Women get paid, if not more than men, just the same as men. The thing is that women are still in this country choosing to do other things instead of work. Men tend to be more, I don't want to say, I don't even honestly I don't even think it's a good trait to just work yourself to death, but men tend to work themselves to death. And it's always about money, and it's different. So when you got a guy that doesn't take any days off, doesn't have maternity leave, doesn't have whatever because of their kids, you're gonna have a pay disparity. You're gonna. If you're a female engineer and you're making $50,000 or $60,000 a year, you might want to, ask yourself, did I take any vacation time? Did I take any maternity leave? Did I work as often as I could have as my maybe, male colleagues or whatever? Just something to think about. I know some women are just going to disagree with me, and that's fine. It's just that when I did the research, that's what bore out. And we can get into that one other day, or if you want, you can leave it in the comments. That's fine. I try to be as transparent with you guys as I can. So, women in South Korea are generally expected to defer to their fathers and to adhere to rigid beauty standards, said The Cut. In the view of 4B followers, South Korean men are essentially beyond redemption, and their culture on the whole is hopelessly patriarchal, often downright misogynistic. Ugh, I don't know. In his 2022 election campaign, President... Alright guys, I'm not trying to insult anybody, I'm just going to try to say it. President Yoon Suk... Is it Suk or Suk? Y'all, I don't know. President Yoon Suk Yeol, I don't know, claimed that structural sexism no longer exists in South Korea, despite having previously blamed feminism for the country's birth rate of 0.72 per woman, the lowest in the world. That is pretty low, man. That is pretty low. So each woman is going to have 0.72 of a baby. So obviously some women are just not having babies at all, ever. That sucks, dude. Take it from me, I always thought this, but I didn't know it until I had a child of my own, Having a child has to be, having a family has to be the greatest gift from God that exists. Aside from God's salvation, aside from God's love and trust and everything else that God gives you, a family has to be up there. It has to be up there. Maybe I kind of misspoke with that because obviously God, you have to put God in your life first if you're a believer. But it's just such a beautiful thing. It gives your life meaning. It gives you joy. It teaches you. It makes you less selfish. It turns you into a better version, maybe even the best version of you. Because when you're not living for yourself and you're living for someone else, you have to make decisions constantly in a non-selfish way. You have to. Unless you're a dick and you want to be one of these people that, you're completely, you really are beyond redemption or whatever it is that the women are saying, and you mistreat your wife, or you don't appreciate her, you don't talk to her unless you want some, that type of thing. But normally people aren't like that. People understand that if you want your plants to grow, you got to flower them. You got to give them enough sun, not too much sun though. So it's, it's just like that. It's just like keeping a garden or any other parallel that you can make. So it says, at this rate, the UN predicts South Korea's 51 million population will have, I don't know, that doesn't sound right, will have by the end of the century. So it'll just go in half. So what, 25.5 million? To counter this demographic crisis, Modern Diplomacy reported how the government has invested more than $200 billion in the past 16 years in programs supporting traditional patriarchal institutions like family, through child care subsidies, low interest mortgages for newlywed couples, and extended maternity and paternity leave. Dude, it says traditional patriarchal institutions like family. Dude, like really? The family is patriarchal? What the fuck? I didn't know that. I spent my entire life in families, and I didn't know that they were inherently sexist. I had no idea. Did you guys know that? Fuck me. However, these efforts have failed to yield the desired results, and South Korean women are increasingly distancing themselves from marriage or the obligation to become mothers. Like any social movement, 4B has its own internal rifts and divisions, said Joanna Burke, or Bork, I don't know, professor of history at Birkbeck University of London, and the author of Disgrace, Global Reflections on Sexual Violence. Oh, I am sure that Miss Joanna is just a hoot to be around. Members are at odds over whether 4B women can be friends with men, or with women who still want to date men. And there are concerns over the movement's exclusion of trans men. Oh, I was wondering if that was going to be a thing. I was honestly wondering. It has also sparked a broader backlash in South Korea, said Al Jazeera, with one local politician recently trying to link a rise in male suicide attempts to women being in the workforce. What'd they call it? So apparently, and I hadn't heard about this either, because, when you're not suffering it, I guess, it's very easy to not hear about these new, issues that are popping up. So apparently, women in this 4B movement that I've watched these videos, and they're all these videos that talk about, joining 4B, or now they're 4B or whatever. It's almost always a white woman, and they are angry that women and men voted against Kamala Harris in this country. I'm not talking about anywhere else. So, obviously, right? So they're angry, and they want to get back, because in their minds, they have no idea how this country could be sexist, racist, misogynistic, or whatever else enough to elect Donald Trump, because in their minds, they've been programmed as NPCs and sheep and every other good word for that, right? They have been programmed to think this way, that Trump is evil, he has no redeeming qualities, there's nothing good about anything he says, there's literally no validity to any of his plans. The 4 years that we spent that had, an incredible economic boom, boom works too, worked. It was, the only reason why it worked was because of Barack Obama. That's horseshit. At what point does Donald Trump actually get credit for the stuff that he did? Because when it comes to Trump getting credit, it's Barack Obama did it and laid everything out for him, and all Donald Trump had to do was sign the dotted line that he was here for the day. That's the type of shit that it is, man. And then he leaves, and then President Trump, he didn't inherit a good economy. You inherited a great economy, except for COVID, obviously. But again, not Donald Trump, because he's a Republican. And as this cycle for sure has proven, the mainstream media, the legacy media, is almost entirely leftist, And they are for sure the propaganda arm of the DNC. And these are obviously my opinions. And I don't think that it's ever going to come out that, yeah, so and so, they only value, DNC opinions or whatever. Apart from stuff like the Project Veritas and the James O'Keefe stuff. Because Project Veritas, I don't even seen a Project Veritas thing since James O'Keefe left. But that type of thing, okay? That type of thing is constantly showing that this is bullshit. It's constantly showing. It's shown people like Van Jones on there talking about, oh yeah, we know Trump stuff is bullshit. We know that, but it's for ratings. How does anybody take that guy seriously after a video comes out like that? Is it because you guys just don't see it? You've never heard of it? There are people that I've met that literally, even though they're adults and they've been successful in their own lives, when they start to speak to you about politics, they do not want to hear anything positive about Donald Trump. They will literally cover their ears and go, no, 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 Donald Trump, nothing good. And you're like, dude, what the fuck? And they don't want to believe it. They don't want to hear about it. They don't want to even think that it's a possibility. And if, God forbid, someone comes up and says something against Donald Trump, right? That person all of a sudden becomes like a saint or whatever because they're against Donald Trump. This happened with Kamala Harris. Everybody hated Kamala Harris. She was the least popular VP in decades. And I mean decades. At least 60 or 70 years. Super long time. If not forever. Because some places say she's, of all time, she's the lowest. Some places say she's tied. Whatever. Point is, by the data, irrefutable, she was a super unpopular VP. She was not a popular senator either because she was super left. She was the most leftist senator that they had. Even left of Bernie Sanders. Can you imagine that? So, I don't hear about these movements, and they call it, I think, the male loneliness epidemic or something like that. Basically, men are lonely, they get depressed, and they end up offing themselves, And that's sad, dude. As a well, this video is long enough. We'll leave that for another day. Let's just say that I can definitely relate to someone, even though it's against the laws of nature and against the laws of evolution, if evolution even exists, because it's like the most anti-natural, most anti-evolutionary thing you could possibly do is just ending your own life. Because what's the existence? What's the purpose behind existence on a biological level? For you to procreate, continue your seed, and continue the line of humanity. And you're basically in a position where it's so dark, the hole is so deep, so hopeless that you find no respite, nothing makes you happy, and nobody can talk any sense into you, and you decide to remove yourself from this world. And you know what? The video is long, but it's going to get a little longer. If you're here with me, I appreciate you hanging out with me. Even if I'm just in the back, probably just as a voice in the room, right? So check me out. I know from experience what it's like to be in that deep, dark hole. I'm a suicide survivor. Multiple times. I was in a super dark place, and sense just wasn't a thing. And to make a long story short, I didn't listen to my friends. I didn't listen, and I lost everyone. I did. I don't know. It was difficult. I they just got tired. They just got tired of dealing with me. And obviously a part of it, they should be right. But the problem is that sometimes you just want to be sad, to process it and not be rushed through the motions of grief and bargaining and all that other stuff. You know, the 5 stages of loss. You don't want to be rushed through them, bro. You just want to take them at your pace. So I definitely understand where these men are coming from, but we need to recognize that if this is a thing, which I don't see why it wouldn't be a thing, because the males have been vilified to be the worst thing on planet Earth. Especially if you're a straight male, especially if you're a straight white Christian male. Then you are like, and you're conservative? Oh boy, no. Forget it. You're freaking radioactive. So yeah, so I've seen these videos. Oh yeah, well guess what? We're gonna make men more depressed, and women are just. I haven't seen one woman actually mention the male loneliness epidemic or whatever the hell they're calling it, and I haven't seen one woman mention it in a video in any type of supporting or nice, compassionate, you know, humane way. It's all about 4B movement, you know, and I'm gonna go, and if I want to be with women, I'm gonna be with women because I'm not gonna be with men anymore. And you know, they can just go, you know, off themselves all they want, and that's how they're talking. And I'm appalled. I'm appalled that, and this isn't pro clutching. I really am appalled that someone can record something that it occurs to them as they're recording to say something as vile as, I don't care that men are offing themselves at historic rates. Good for them. To say something like that, first to think it, then to actually have the lack of filter to say it. On one hand, I respect you for having a lack of filter. On the other hand, you're crazy and evil for saying that and having that thought. You shouldn't be happy or feel some type of satisfaction or whatever because men are, you know, hurting themselves in droves. That shouldn't be, you know. And I know. Oh, it's all about abortion and they're the ones messing me up. The abortion issue is not about turning you into a birthing machine. It's not about taking autonomy. You want to be pro-choice? I say this, it's going to be harsh, but I say this as respectfully as the sentiment can be said. If you want to be pro-choice, the choice starts and ends whether you like the guy, and I mean typically, not in the rape situations, because that's literally less than 1% of abortions is pregnancy through rape. That's why that whole Planned Parenthood narrative falls apart the moment you actually just Google numbers, bro. And Google, they admit to hide conservative numbers. They admit that sometimes their shit is glitchy. They admit to hiding all of this. And Google will still show you that these numbers do not lie. That typically you will, 99 times out of 10, you will, if you're raped, 99 times out of 10, the woman will not get pregnant. And it's an awful thing. It's a tragedy every way around. But let's not act as if the rape pregnancy thing is some sort of crisis. Let's not act as if like women are just getting raped left and right, up, down, front, center, back. You know, let's not act like that. Because I have met young women that have literally told me that they can't go out because, you know, the chances of them getting raped are like 30-something% or 60-something% or whatever. And it's like, why did you let these people scare you into these crazy high numbers that cannot possibly exist? Even if 30% of women got raped, we would need to define what rape is specifically, because there's a difference between, oh, he kind of pressured me into it, right? There's a difference. Oh, he kind of pressured me into it and I felt like I had no way of saying no. That's completely different than saying he beat me and he held a knife to my throat and then he, proceeded to ravage my body. And in the middle of those two extremes, I guess, if you want to consider the first example an extreme, I don't know if it is, but if in the middle of those extremes, then you have the really pathetic rapists, which are the ones that will literally just drug a woman's drink or, drug her in some way and then take advantage of her. And I think that those are the most pathetic because they won't even do it in a head-on confrontational way with the woman that they're about to destroy her life. They won't even do that. They will literally just boop. Oh, here's Rohypnol, whatever. As soon as it takes effect, yes, I'm in there. That's horrible. And you're a coward, frankly, if you do that. I can't, and honestly, I can't say I ever knew a man who did that. Now, I did know men that would try to get women as drunk as possible because then obviously they're more pliable, right? But that's awful. And that's also, in my opinion, that's rape, because if you're so hammered, you can't give consent. But mind you, there is a difference between being blackout drunk and having sex. Obviously, at that point, it's rape because you're blackout drunk. You can't give consent. And there is a difference between being inebriated and you can't give consent also because you're not capable of making, you're not able to make good decisions in your state. Decisions that you would normally make. I could see that also being rape. But back in the day, that wasn't considered rape. That was just considered you did that. And I'm not trying to blame the rape victim. Never would I do that, because look at me. I am calling them a rape victim. But let's be honest. If a man is buying you drink after drink after drink, you should know where the intention is. I don't know how else to say it. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden you are at fault. Doesn't mean that all of a sudden the person is, man's blameless or whatever. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying that at certain points, we all as humans, and especially as adults, right? We have to take accountability for everything that we do, and we have to be honest with the most important person to be honest to, and that's yourself. You don't want to lie to yourself. You don't want to live in what I call mental masturbation, okay? Which is just, oh yeah, I love that, and blah, blah. And it's not the truth, but hey, let's go with it anyways. Wow, it is getting late. I can't believe how long this video is. Okay, so, I don't know. It makes me pretty sad when I hear this thing about the fact that women think the 4B movement is necessary, and men, the male loneliness epidemic or whatever. I've also heard it called the male depression disease or something like that. I've heard it called so many things, but it's the same thing, Anyways, so it says, how might it grow and spread? The 4B movement began as a protest, but it has morphed into a global awakening after having been sensationalized by Western media, said Isha Sharma in USA Today. While 4B might seem extreme to many, it has tapped into a growing celibacy movement around the world. Let me tell you something. I don't see it as extreme because I see it as typical feminist bullshit. Especially modern day feminists, third and fourth wave feminists. All of them believe that males are basically at fault for everything. And it's always a patriarchy this, and this is, a culture, and, a culturally taught prison, and blah, 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 blah. And it's all just, for the love oh, it's like you all read from the same book, and they do, they're indoctrinated from the same handbook. In the U.S., the boy sober trend, I haven't heard about this either. The boy sober trend has seen young women eschewing dating, while multiple studies show that globally more and more young people seem to be quite happily opting out of sex, said The Guardian. Good. When I heard about the 40B movement, I was entirely like, great. Excellent. You won't be able to blame men for all your problems anymore. You won't be having irresponsible sex. You won't be getting pregnant if you stick to your guns, obviously. You won't be getting pregnant and then aborting the baby. And as a final little cherry on top of my delicious dessert, you will help in bringing leftist ideologies to a close so that your backwards thinking can finally go out back and die like it should. Because this type of thinking is absolutely, it's dangerous, it's ill-informed, it's completely wrong, it's sensational, and it's just, it leaves no room for any type of cohesion and coming together or reconciliation. There's no, when women are saying, listen, you're a man and you're the problem and you're white, so you're the problem even more so, and we live in a patriarchy and that's your fault. And it's like, what the fuck? I feel like I'm in a different conversation, but in the same vein as paying for reparations. Why the fuck should I pay for reparations? For starters, the vast majority of people during that time, white people during that time, didn't own slaves. Some places put it down as low as like 1.5, 1.7% to as high as just under 5%. But most people, by an alarmingly large margin, because we've been taught that, just everybody was a slave back then, and everywhere there were slaves. It turns out that it was just a small group controlling a large swath of land across this country. So when you ladies go out and you make these sweeping condemnations against men, dude, I'm glad that you guys won't procreate. I'm glad that you won't kill any more babies. I'm glad that you won't eventually have a baby to spread your horrible leftist ideals to. I am so tired of seeing pink, blue-haired, purple-haired, whatever, septum pierced women bring their beautiful, innocent, cute as fuck little girl who has no business knowing any of this shit, and you've got her being a 4 or 5-year-old and she's holding up a sign about, my body, my choice. You are a horrible person. You're a worthless mother, and I've seen many videos of this. So you think that I, as a conservative and a man and a Catholic and everything else that I am, and I try to be a good person, obviously I'm a sinner just like everybody else, but I do try to be a good person. I help. Dude, I try to help people that literally get afraid of me just for coming up to them. Like a lady putting groceries into her cart. I've had ladies tell me, back off, I don't need. I'm like, okay, just offering help. You look like you were struggling. I've had women get angry. I've had women get happy at my help, but I've had women get terrified. And that's because of this type of shit that's being espoused. Stuff that has no ground, has no merit whatsoever, and it's just, okay, so you had a bad experience. Have you ever thought that maybe the bad experience was you? Oh, okay, you want abortion. Cool, bro. Fine. Go to a state that has abortion. No, the patriarchy. What do you want then? It's like Kat Timpf on Fox the other day said, what am I supposed to do? And it's 100% true. What am I supposed to do? Me, and I mean this personally. I am a Catholic, right? Let's just go over all the bad things I am again. I'm a Catholic. I'm white. I am conservative. I'm heterosexual in every way possible. Super straight. I'm against abortion. I guess that's another strike against me. I don't know. I don't want trans athletes, especially trans males, it gets so confusing. Trans females in women's sports. I don't want that. You know why? Because they take away opportunities from women, and they have a small enough space in sports as it is already. If you're in the WNBA, chances are that on average, you are much more skilled than the women that you're leaving behind that didn't get drafted to the WNBA, as opposed to, for example, if you're in the NBA, when you get drafted, the people that didn't get drafted, yeah, they're really good too. They just didn't make the cut. Whereas women, it's like, dude, what's her name? Christine. Oh, don't get old, guys. Just sleep, don't get old. What's her damn name, dude? Chrissy. Is it Chrissy? And I have her rookie card, too. The woman that she's white and they say she's pretty. I think she's okay. And she's got a boyfriend and she's straight and they hate her. Can't. Bet you if I ask my boy right now down the hall, he'll tell me. Oh, my lord. I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. Anyways, that supposedly she's an example of racism because now people want to watch the WNBA just because this white girl's in it, this pretty white cis girl is in it, and I'm like, has nothing to do with racism, bro. It's that she is like freaking like Curry. That's exactly who she reminds me of. She's like, oh, I got the ball. Check it in for me. Cool. Whoop. You can't do that. You're on our side of the court. It's good. Whoop. In. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Like, she is that good. She really takes like mid-court shots almost in every game and makes a lot of them. So much so that sometimes they'll just double team her immediately, or they'll just cover her even as she's entering center court. And I'm just having a lapse right now. But I had to stop watching because it was crazy what they were doing to her. They were roughing her up, all sorts of things, and they weren't even getting flagrants called or anything like that. It was just, but whatever. That's just me. Anyway, so let's see. There is as yet little evidence that British women will follow in 4B's footsteps, but as their education levels, financial independence, and sense of agency continues to increase, so does the likelihood that they won't settle for just playing a domestic role for a partner who doesn't meet their expectations. Alright, let's dissect this sentence extremely quickly. The likelihood that they won't settle for just playing a domestic role. So right now they're saying you shouldn't settle for being a housewife or a mother to your kids, a stay-at-home mom. That's crazy. Don't do that. And then they want to add for a partner who doesn't meet their expectations. In other words, for a guy who ain't shit. Okay. But why are you with a guy who ain't shit to begin with? I don't know. Don't be with a guy who ain't shit. And to the men out there, if you see problems, right? When you're dating the woman and you're like, I don't know if I want to go through with this. You need to have a think. Because you don't want to be in the position that this woman is literally warning about. I have a buddy of mine, and obviously I'm not going to say any names, but he's a best friend of mine, one of my best friends. And he's literally been married for a while. And he just found out that his wife is a leftist. I don't know how he did. I don't know how it became this thing. I don't know how it took that long for you to find out that much about your wife, but And yeah, man, he's dealing with it. Maybe he got himself in that position. I don't know if she was maybe dishonest with him or changed. She might have had an alignment shift, right? So yeah. But anyways, let's just be real. No partner is gonna meet any of these women's expectations, especially enough so that any woman should be a stay-at-home mom. Because all of these women want you to be like they are, lonely and completely miserable. Because what do they say? Misery loves company. So while 4B might not take off in Britain, the consequences might not be so different down the line. Okay, 50, maybe 50,000 women in Korea are doing it. I doubt it, but maybe they are. And then, oh man, before we get to these videos, which we have to get to, I know it's a long one, but killing your babies isn't as popular as you bitches thought. That's amazing. That's from Aspen Lindsay. I can't take credit for it, but it's amazing. Anyways, check this guy out. Let me get the headphones on. And I also want to show you something that my buddy sent me, but it's on my phone and I can't pull it up on the computer. So I'm just going to have to talk to you guys about it and look it up. Anyways, let's see what this guy has to say, right?
I think it's so ironic how liberal women and women who voted for Kamala are saying that for the next 4 years they're not going to sleep with another man. I find it so ironic because at least then you won't need an abortion. It took you Donald Trump to get in office for you to stop being a whore. See, things are already starting to change for the better.
Damn! Oh, shit. Emotional, damn it!
So stupid. I wish I knew how to edit like that, man. I don't, you know. I just okay. Anyways, so exactly what I felt. Exactly what I felt. And then there's this guy who
Women for Harris are now. So apparently, Women for Harris are now withholding sex as a punishment for men who didn't vote for Harris. I don't know how to tell you this, but nobody who didn't vote for Harris wants to sleep with you anyways. Okay? The only thing you're doing is punishing the white men who did vote for Harris.
That's true.
You're cool with that. If y'all could
dude,
procreate, that'd be sweet.
I hit the pause button, damn it. Dude, that's even an angle that I didn't consider. This guy took it a level I didn't even think about. And normally I'm the over-analyze everything guy. But that's good. Let's hear him again, because that was a great point.
If y'all could never procreate, that'd be sweet.
Said all that, right?
It's crazy, too, because it took y'all, what, half a day to figure out the abortion issue on your own? See, you could have done it the whole time. Just, I don't know, quit being a hoe.
Quit being a hoe!
So easy. There you go. Congratulations. Turns out, the only promise that the Harris campaign was actually making, you guys solved in a half hour. Boy, Donald Trump, works in mysterious ways, doesn't he? Ain't that crazy? Trump saved everybody from getting abortions by simply existing and being your president.
47-45, baby.
Thanks, Donald Trump.
Yep, thank you, Donald Trump. Donald Trump has broken these people. Just completely broken these people. Check this one out.
We've been like, hey, ladies, decade. We've been like, hey, ladies, can you be a little more modest, maybe? Because when one of us meets you and falls in love, we don't want to have sex with you and a dude jump out. Some of these bitches got squatters in there. The only cavemen left are some dudes that's hiding out in the enormous crater that some of these stank-ass OnlyFans bitches call a vagina. And if you're going to stop spreading that coochie around to the world, that's the most beneficial thing that's come out of the feminist movement ever. Let's go, Trump. It took 30 minutes, and Trump's already lowered the rate of single motherhood and STDs.
Damn, truth bomb, baby. It's all facts, no lies detected. That is crazy. He's right, bro. 100% right. He's 100% right. Thank you, Donald Trump.
Let's go. Decade.
Yo, that's crazy, bro. That's crazy. Anyway, so check this out, guys. And this is it, I promise. This has been a long video. I thank you guys for hanging out if you're still here, right? So check this out. The word, and I don't even know how to pronounce this, is this right here. I know about cis, but this is like cishet? Cishet? Cishet. Cishet can be used both as an adjective and a noun. It's pronounced cishet. And am I really going to remember this? So it says, cishet is a term used to describe someone who is both cisgender and heterosexual. If you're cisgender, you're identifying with the gender you were assigned at birth. Oh my God. You were assigned, not came out with, assigned. Bro, look, I know there's intersex people, I know there's hermaphrodites and all sorts of things in between. I know that. But let's be honest, we need to stop, and this is why I'm getting angry. We need to stop making rules up for the exception. That's not the way rules work. That's not the way society can work. I know that we're very enlightened and civilized and all other horseshit that is just an illusion. We're not. We're not. Doesn't matter. We're not. You know why? Because at the end of the day, we still have our base reptilian needs that are all there, programmed in our brain. The need for survival, the need for sex, the need for, you know, safety and comfort and security. So cisgender, identifying with the gender you were assigned at birth. That is so stupid. And heterosexual, attracted exclusively to people of the opposite sex. Oh, and then of course they'll try to, I'm sure they'll try to throw in that, you know, most people have like homosexual fantasies or whatever. They'll say, "Oh, are you not comfortable with your sexuality? Are you maybe closeted?" Look, bro. I don't need to eat a shit sandwich to know that I don't want or like a shit sandwich. I don't need to. Okay? I don't need to date a transgender woman or date a man to find out that I like women. That I like biological women. I don't need that. You know why? Because nature took its course, and eventually, as a small little 13-year-old boy, I know I was a late bloomer. I literally all of a sudden just was like super into girls, like crazy into women. Anyways, this has been a long video. Love you guys. As always, please hang out with me some more. Consider hitting that, you know, like, comment, share, subscribe, you know, and subscribing buttons. Those all really help out. Thank you for being here. It's been an hour and 18 minutes. You guys are the best if you're still here. Vlog fam, can't thank you guys enough. For real, seriously. Love you guys. We'll be with you probably a little bit later. But like I said, I do got a lot of stuff to do today. So I wanted this to just initially be like a 30 or 40 minute video, and I've run like 40 minutes over time. I need to, dude, Cubans talk a lot. That's kind of a stereotype for us. And, you know, stereotypes exist because they're true, you know, generally speaking. You know, when I was a drinker, you would see me in my wife beater, which I'm currently wearing, under this, obviously. You would see me in my wife beater with a Corona. That's a stereotype also. And it exists for a reason. It's just something we do. To just manually think that people assign like really, really specific and like odd attributes to a race or an ethnicity or a culture or whatever, and think that those things were just made up whole cloth is come on. You know, it's kind of unreal. It's kind of unrealistic and improbable. You know? Nobody's out there going, you know what? I really hate the Cubans. So let's say this. I hate the Cubans because they always come over here and they always vote conservative. So let's do something. Let's say that Cubans always love wearing wife beaters because, hey, it's a wife beater, right? So it's it's got a bad name already anyways, right? People and they associate wife beaters with bad things like wife beating. So let's do that. You know what? Oh yeah. I like that idea, but let's add on to it. Maybe comes the second guy, right? Let's add on to it. Let's say that they like Coronas. Let's say that they like drinking Coronas. Corona the beer? Yeah, it'll be great. But Corona's Mexican. They'll love it anyways. It'll be great. My little Corona with a lime. I feel like having one, actually. Anyways, guys, seriously, you guys are the best. As always, stay safe and stay based.